just systemic encouragement of people to believe conspiracy theories over the stories of little girls who had sexual predation practiced upon them.
Well, and I think it stems a lot. Look at the person who's in the Oval Office right now. He spent a lot of time perpetuating a conspiracy theory that President Obama wasn't born in this country and created a whole spectacle around that conspiracy theory. I think in a lot of ways what we're seeing is so many people believe that when Donald Trump got elected, that was their signal that they could actually show and reveal their true selves, and some of this awfulness that we're seeing right now is very symptomatic of that. There's no accountability. There's no facts. No one cares about whether something happened or not. They care about the timing. That's what they're drawing people towards. That's what Steve Bannon was talking about last night. It doesn't even matter if it happened to him. It matters that, well, the timing's suspicious.
Yeah.
Why aren't accusations like this the end of the conversation?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that is not very definitive, Kurt, but I wonder if there is, are we seeing a cultural problem here? Because there is, as a part of the movement that brought Donald Trump to power, part of the movement, this sort of, quote, alt-right, not only is there a good deal of anti-Semitism and racism and xenophobia in it, but there is also a component of it that is against women being too liberated and that wants women to be put in their place.
Right.
And does that also go along with this idea of grooming good girls by making sure that they, you know, I don't know, is there something in it that is also...
I think David hit on a very interesting point there, which is the idea that when you're seeing in some of the rhetoric from these people in Alabama that, well, maybe some of these women are actually, you know, to blame. They played a part in it. Roy Moore is a good guy who was just hanging out with good girls. And that, again, that raises the point. Well, if there's good girls, there must be bad girls. And if that's the case, then whatever happens must be their fault. I think that there is this culture of the lack of empowerment of women, that they fear the empowerment of women, and that they look to normalize this type of behavior because it can't possibly be Roy Moore's fault. One of their own, someone who also, again, embodies racist tendencies, who is xenophobic, who is homophobic, and now you add potential child molester to the rack. They have to find a way to rationalize standing by him, not backing away from him, and this is their way of doing it, and going so far as to even invoke the Bible as a rationalization for this is okay, that somehow, well, Jesus and Mary and Joseph were of different ages, and that somehow makes this okay. I would like them to produce that birth certificate to verify those ages of Mary and Joseph.
Do you think that then the party recognizes, do people inside the Republican Party recognize that they can only shrink from here? If this is who they are, they cannot grow.
Right. Well, they are... They have boxed themselves in. The moment that Donald Trump became the Republican nominee and every Republican stood by, clapped like a seal, endorsed him, didn't distance themselves from, didn't say this is not the Republican Party we want to represent, because they were so worried about winning one election that they were willing to sacrifice maybe the next 2, 3, or 4 down the road. I can't help but notice that even though Roy Moore had said some pretty ignorant, racist, homophobic stuff before, that they all still endorsed him, that they all stood by him. They were willing to fund his general election campaign. It took potentially molesting a child to get some of these people to walk away from that, but they didn't stop them from getting behind them before all of that stuff happened. No wonder people think this is the party that is racist, this party that is ignorant, this is the party that doesn't care about minorities or gun violence or people dying. The track record speaks for itself, and this party is completely moved away from the quote-unquote moral fiber, moral core that they used to prop themselves up on. It showed that it really was just for show, and that's something they really corely believed in.
It's a new standard.
Yeah, and I should also note that to Caton's point about winning elections, you know, if the Republican Party truly believes, Kurt, that they've got it over the Democrats on ideas and values, then why are they working so hard to prevent people of color from voting? Why the active, aggressive voter suppression? Because part of the reason that it's the rural voters who show up is that the door is open to white voters, and Republicans keep that door open, and then they subsequently and simultaneously keep on trying to shut the door on the kind of voters who want to vote for the party of the urban centers, the party that's voting in the innovative centers. They're not exactly just leaving their thumb off the scale and then saying, let's see whose ideas win.
I think that they're very concerned that really what happened in California will happen nationally. You know, 20 years ago, California was a Republican state. We had a Republican state legislator, we had a Republican governor who was looking at potentially running for the White House. And over time, as the party moved further to the right and really got hijacked by the conservative right, the party withdrew. And now you have a supermajority for the Democrats in the state legislature. You have Democrats in every state constitutional office because the Republicans could not, there are elections where they can't even even field a Republican to run in the general election anymore, where it's just Democrat versus Democrat. Republicans naturally are terrified that they're going down that path.
Yeah. It's not shown that he can do anything other than jump on a primary that was already a foregone conclusion and pretend that he created the result. I mean, there's no proof here that Bannon has any special magic electoral, skills when it comes to elections. He just is riding whatever the most, extremist, the most racist, the most sexist, the most whatever bandwagon that he thinks will grow the so-called alt-right. And he managed to trick the New York Times into running Clinton Cash, book
that's right.
of conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton, which was actually probably the one coup he really has actually pulled off.
Well, I mean, he's kind of like a P.T. Barnum-like figure in a lot of ways, a master propagandist. Before the Donald Trump election, every election that Steve Bannon put his finger on, they lost.
Yeah.
You go back to the 2014 Senate races, they tried to influence every single one. Kentucky, Kansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, they lost all of those. The only thing that he's done, like you said, he attaches his wagon to a horse that's already right in first place.
Yeah.
That's not some magic campaign voodoo. That's not he's some brilliant strategist. He's betting on the right horse at the right time, and it just so happens that it works. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
That's a Steve Bannon story.